You've never questioned it. You walk into a forest, birds scatter. You approach a deer, it bolts. You assume that's just what animals do around humans. But what if their reaction to you isn't just fear? What if it's something far more complicated than that? Every animal on this planet has a file on you. Not literally, but encoded somewhere deep in their biology is a response specifically calibrated to your presence, your smell, your shape, your movement. That response didn't develop by accident. It was written over millions of years of shared history between animals and us. Here's what unsettles scientists. Animals that have never seen a human before still react with immediate fear. Isolated populations, remote islands, species with zero human contact in recorded history. The fear is already there before the first encounter ever happens. It isn't learned, it was inherited. That should stop you for a second. Think about what that means. Somewhere in evolutionary history, the threat of humans became so consistent, so reliable, so unavoidable that nature stopped leaving it to experience. It started writing it into DNA directly. You are so dangerous that animals are born already afraid of you before they even meet you. But fear is only one layer, because animals don't just run from you, they watch you. Crows in urban areas recognize individual human faces. They remember which specific person threw a rock at them 3 years ago. They hold grudges. They warn their offspring. A crow that has never met you will distrust you because its parent did. In 2011, researchers at the University of Washington proved this with a controlled experiment. They wore specific masks while disturbing crow nests. Months later, crows dive-bombed people wearing those same masks, completely ignoring people in different ones. They had distributed a wanted poster through their entire social network. The right face got attacked every single time. So crows don't just fear humans, they categorize humans. They file you individually. They build reputations for specific people and pass that information socially. That is not basic animal instinct. That is a level of cognitive sophistication that most people never attribute to a bird the size of your forearm. Elephants do something even more unsettling. In Kenya's Amboseli National Park, researchers discovered elephants respond differently to the smell of clothing worn by Maasai men versus Kamba men. Maasai warriors traditionally hunt elephants. Kamba farmers traditionally don't. The elephants knew the difference. They became immediately aggressive with Maasai scent, calm with Kamba. Without seeing anyone, they were profiling by culture, by ethnic group, not by individual, by community. They had collectively learned, across generations, which type of human represented danger. And they encoded that knowledge into group behavior that persists today. An elephant born decades after the last serious conflict still carries the wariness its ancestors earned through actual violence. Now here is where it gets genuinely strange. Because not all animals file humans under danger. Some file us under something researchers struggle to name cleanly. Dolphins in the wild have been documented approaching human swimmers deliberately, not out of curiosity, with apparent intention, staying close, matching movement, returning after being left alone. In 1997, a bottlenose dolphin off the coast of Ireland named Fungie began seeking out human company exclusively. He abandoned his pod. For over 20 years, he lived alone in Dingle Bay, interacting daily with fishing boats, swimmers, divers. He had every opportunity to leave. He chose humans instead. Scientists still argue about what that means. The honest answer is that we don't fully know. But Fungie isn't a singular case. Solitary dolphins choosing human contact over their own species have been documented across multiple continents over decades. Something in the human presence registers to certain dolphins as worth seeking, not threatening, not neutral, worth seeking specifically. That distinction matters enormously. An octopus has no social life, no community, no evolutionary reason to distinguish between individual humans at all. It lives alone, hunts alone, dies alone. And yet, aquariums worldwide have documented octopuses forming specific opinions about specific people, behaving completely differently toward one staff member versus another, with total consistency week after week. Something is happening in there. Ravens do something that should be impossible for a bird. They plan for the future. In experiments, ravens were shown a tool they would need the following morning to access food. They were then given a choice between keeping the tool or trading it for an immediate small reward. Ravens kept the tool for tomorrow. But in the wild, ravens formed working alliances with specific human hunters across northern Europe and North America for thousands of years. The same ravens returning to the same hunters, leading them toward prey. Waiting for the kill, taking their share afterward. A deliberate arrangement, maintained through individual recognition, sustained across time. With a bird, dogs are the outlier that complicates everything. Because dogs didn't just adapt to humans, they chose us. Around 15,000 years ago, wolves began a process no other predator attempted. They moved toward human settlements instead of away. They traded wildness for proximity. Over generations, that choice reshaped their entire biology, including their brain. A dog's brain responds to human eye contact by releasing oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same chemical that floods a mother's brain when she looks at her newborn. No other domesticated animal does this. Not cats, not horses, not even wolves raised alongside humans from birth. The dog's brain specifically rewired itself to bond with human eyes. When you look at your dog, its oxytocin rises, then yours rises in response. You are locked in a mutual biological bonding loop with another species. A loop that evolution built deliberately across thousands of years. You didn't just domesticate dogs, dogs domesticated you right back. They rewired your chemistry as thoroughly as you rewired theirs. But here's the question nobody can fully answer. What does a dog think about you when you aren't there? When the room is empty and quiet and no human is present? Does something in that brain hold a version of you in your absence? Does it miss a concept of you? Or just a smell? Or nothing? That question should sit uncomfortable for a moment. Because if the answer is yes, if a dog maintains a mental model of a specific human when that human is gone, then what we have isn't just domestication. It's something closer to what we only ever expected to find between people. And we still don't have a clean word for it. Research does show that dogs display measurable physiological changes, specifically tied to their primary human's absence. Not general distress, not any human leaving. That specific person. Their cortisol pattern when their owner disappears differs from when a stranger walks out. Something in the dog is tracking you, individually, continuously, even when you think no one is paying attention. The great white shark is where our assumptions collapse completely, assumed to be a pure instinct machine, no cognition worth measuring. Then researchers at Guadalupe Island documented individual great whites returning to specific dive cage locations year after year, approaching specific researchers, behaving differently around familiar humans versus unfamiliar ones. An animal we dismissed was watching us the entire time. This is the pattern that keeps emerging across every species researchers examine closely enough. The more carefully we study the animal, the more it turns out to have been studying us. We assumed we were the ones doing the observing, but every crow, every elephant, every shark has been building a detailed picture of humans this whole time. Their picture of us isn't simple. It isn't just predator or not predator. It contains categories we never expected them to hold. Dangerous human, safe human, familiar human. That specific one who fed me. That specific one I don't trust. Filed individually, filed culturally, filed historically. With a precision that should unsettle every assumption you've ever made. So what do animals actually think of humans? The honest answer sits somewhere between threat, mystery, resource, and something that occasionally looks disturbingly close to a companion. The category shifts by species, by individual animal, by what that animal inherited, what it learned, and which specific humans it has encountered across the full length of its life. What we keep discovering is that the gap we assumed existed between their minds and ours is narrower than anyone was prepared for. Every decade of research closes it further. Abilities we reserved exclusively for humans keep appearing in species we weren't even looking at carefully. The wall gets shorter every time we actually bother to look over it, which raises the question you probably haven't let yourself ask yet. If they have been watching us, categorizing us, remembering us, forming opinions about us, building something that resembles relationships with us across thousands of years of shared history? What exactly have they concluded? What does the file they've built on humans actually say about us? We cannot know the texture of it. What registers in a crow's brain when it spots the face it hasn't forgotten in 3 years? What an elephant carries when it smells a familiar human approaching across open ground? Whether any of it holds weight beyond pure function. Whether any of it, in the quietest possible sense, means something to them. We're still the ones asking the question. They're still the ones watching.